Synergetic Journal, January 23rd through January 24th, 2026. Concerning peace and equanimity on earth. Christina Herlovson's Synergetics Research Project. Reflecting back on the late 1970s, early 1980s, not recalling the exact date in California, when R. Buckminster Fuller was the main speaker at a symposium where I pledged to Bucky to write every day for peace. It was during the question-asking time for the audience to participate as volunteers walked around the aisles extending a requested microphone. As an attending member in the audience, I stood up, motioning the volunteer to hand me the microphone. Instead of asking Bucky any question related to his in-depth explanation of geometric models, as he had spoken without notes from his photographic memory, explaining their relevance to world events, referring his discoveries of interrelated geometries, I self-consciously spoke into the handheld microphone, embarrassed by my bold impulse, openly vowing to write for peace every day as a contribution to what I barely understood, but intuitively felt his genius was of vital importance to the world. My personal experience of this unusual boldness speaking out thus was that Bucky seemed not to have heard a word. Not because of his hearing aids. He appeared not the least interested. His reaction to my intended contribution did not deter me, however, because I had no personal connection to him, and instead trusted something profoundly of deepest value from his terminology, the use of words. In his many published books, unlike any number of famous authors in books I had read over my lifetime. Subsequent to that day, I did write, filling many notebooks for years. Eventually, I gave myself permission to not write every single day, but almost every day since the dedication seemed mindlessly dutiful. From my own persuasion, answering only to myself. This turned out to be a wise decision because it gave me more time for deeper considerations instead of simply fulfilling self-imposed obligation. Sometimes filling a page with words to faithfully complete the task. Not that I did not observe what was going on, but deeply concentrating on peace became tedious because there was nothing substantial to grasp from the elusiveness of peace, not substantiating any meaningful connection to it. Eventually, my observations of the world news contributed some insights and outlooks of the human condition, especially during the process of writing that turned into research writing. But no referential resource of information compares to Synergetics from Bucky's omnicomprehensive discoveries. Synergetics explorations in the geometry of thinking continues to be my primary, reliable, recognizable basis of integrative knowledge. It derives from nature's coordinate system to the nth degree. Bucky's experiential, experimental, precise mensuration and constructing geometric topological models are explained and illustrated in Synergetics, which is available now online, and not just from the 2 volumes published in 1979. During this research writing process, After many attempts to find an acronym's most relevant factors that may conveniently simplify pinpointing the intractable authorities that historically describe seemingly irreparable problem-making realities over centuries of the human condition. Such contextual parameters persistently defeat the possibilities of liberating our humanity to consciously evolve out of its inherited malfeasance as types of perniciously misguiding information. Eventually, I wrote the applicable acronym PRJWBCHM. Politics, religion, justice, war, belief, complex, hierarchical matrix, followed by a relative comparison. The UIVMOFCH, Universe, Isotropic Vector Matrix, Operational Field, Cosmic Hierarchy. Awareness of the PRJWBCHM interdependently bifurcating factors continues to inspire deeper correlations to the world's centuries-old ramifying problems of seemingly irreparable culminating agonies for human populations to suffer when we are kept ignorantly by politics, religion, justice, war, beliefs in variously contrived matrices with no end in sight. A matrix, according to Oxford University Press Dictionary and Thesaurus, is an environment or material in which something develops. Mathematically, a matrix can be a rectangular array of quantities in rows and columns, manipulated thus according to particular rules. The word matrix originates from Latin womb, from mater, mother, which may explain where the womb of permitted ignorance derives, coinciding with awareness of the Middle East as the cradle of civilization. In Synergetic's dictionary, The Mind of R. Buckminster Fuller, in 4 volumes published in 1986, Bucky describes matrix, in quotes, matrix is an interpatterning of multidimensional events, much as bees' honeycomb, or a candy-cohered popcorn ball, end quote. From this definition, obviously the isotropic vector matrix shown in Synergetic's color plate number 9 cannot be a mathematical matrix arranged in a rectangular array of quantities in rows and columns. Whatever those particular matrix rules can be, they are not applicable to anticipatory design science's omnirational thought, language, coordinate systems, realized succession of concentric 12 around 1 closest packed spheres that we can read from Synergetic's color plate number 9. It illustrates micro-macro cosmic limits, a relativity of interquantitative, intertransformable systems. Awareness of this matrix gives us a comparative acronym to PRJWBCHM, which I have written, UIVMOFCH referential, to Bucky's cosmic hierarchy described in Synergetics 982.61. Concerning peace, in this referential regard, specifically reflecting systemic thoughts, ruminations, throughout last evening and also into this morning, one day later, I am still impressed by the historically precedent-setting Board of Peace. The Board of Peace was established as an official international organization that was ratified from its initial invention and inaugurated by USA President Donald J. Trump at Davos, Switzerland. Coincidentally, and for the first time yesterday, I looked up the term peace in Synergetic's dictionary, the mind of Albert Winterfuller. This is what I found. Peace. Citation and context at war, 1947, in quotes. The prolonged and far more sanguinary, private and non-spectacular chapters of strife under the guise of peace, end quote. Peace, cite RBF in Watt's tape, page 64, October 19, 1971, end quotes. When you use the word peace, too many people think of political reforms, where there's a political struggle. And you try to persuade, and that doesn't do any good because people can't live on persuasion. They've got to eat. And so I'm interested in how you actually employ those principles. So I began playing my world peace game, which I did when I said, I won't use the word peace anymore because man has no meaning for the word. There never has been anything peace, end quote. In quotes, what has been called peace is what pleased the last victor, end quote. No wonder Bucky, at that symposium in California, was not the least impressed when I promised to write for peace, since from 1947 through 1971, he had mindfully resolved the false premise, while I was acting on popularized word use and what seemed terribly troubling to everyone in respect to war. It was also as if war and peace will always be two sides of the same coin, with no intrinsic value to assure something that has yet to happen can be adequately provided from the interdependent, interrelating, seemingly intractable factors of the conceptual parameters reenacting claims of inadequacies by variously situate, powerful authorities. By omnicomprehensive contrast, adequacy must have something to do with a constant relative abundance, which is conceptually relevant and correlates with the topological characteristics of the tetrahedron, metaphysical physical universe's minimum structural system. The tetrahedron's energy quanta constitute the referential conceptuality of the might, MITE, which could not have been stated by me in the late 1970s or early 1980s, and for decades of writing until the third decade in the 21st century. Come to think of it, it is not beyond any psyche's curiosity concerning the integral rearrangeability of something relevant within the same space, of the same plus and or minus generalized conceptioning fields of thought. This happens to be the mites, MITES, as they function in the coupler's asymmetric octahedron, elucidated in Synergetics 954.20 through 954.70, and may turn out to be wholly WHOLLY relevant to manifesting the omnirational human condition that start off with the concept peace versus war, evolving to equanimity and dependence only on trial and error survival stratagems referential to nature's coordinate systems, the geometric models for our vivid imaginations, natural proclivity to conceptually formulate the most economical individual initiatives by starting with scenario universe, which is of nature's metaphysical physical universe. U equal MP. Naturally, the concept peace always reminds me of that promise to Bucky decades ago, and now the USA president emboldening the intention, as if the very integrity of the unrealized mission is a type of full circle in process, coinciding with Bucky's 1949 description in his essay Total Thinking, in quotes, the continuity of conscious life becomes personality as a product of complex periodic interactions known as cycles or periodic recurrences of a higher frequency order, end quote. Intuitively, it is as if the purpose of peace and my writing almost daily referential to synergetics bears closest scrutiny, having something meaningfully to discover regarding what must be inherently responsible when dealing with essential transformations in the world, coinciding with deciphering hidden agendas in the PRJWBCHM while consciously coordinating thought, language, communication, and some as yet specified clarification. Of course, the acronym PRJWBCHM, politics, religion, justice, war, belief complex, hierarchical matrix might disturb those who profit by any of those interrelated, interdependent factors despite their highest ideals and aspirations while paying lip service to loving God, correlating to fulfilling deepest love for our fellow man and the nation. Is it? The nation closest to the eternal design of our regenerating species' heartfelt survival? Surely, the deepest loyalties to the nation cannot also be extraneously disregarded in any relatedness to intentionally committing self-other sanguineous acts. SANGUINEOUS, acts. Correlating with rationalized exploitations in the value that profits by doing harm. Sanguinary in the dictionary means involving or causing much bloodshed, butchery, gore, violent, bleeding, cutthroat, homicidal, murderous, covered with blood. To get a point across, correlating with rationalized exploitations in the value that profits by doing harm. Be this the harm of publicly articulated insidious insulting snideness, albeit the attention-getting sarcasm for everyone to enjoy a good laugh, never humiliatingly at the other's expense. Is this disrespectful behavior expecting too little from the members of the Board of Peace as exemplary role models for their nations, potentially emulating psyches, personalities, philosophies, perspectives, or anyone in elected leadership anywhere in the world, hopefully trustworthy governing authorities? Suddenly, our observing humanity is informed of a design science revolution versus a global political revolution. We can employ our awareness of PRJWBCHM versus UIVMOFCH now While considering Synergetic's dictionary versus checklist, see Design Science Revolution versus Global Political Revolution. Fortunately, and unlike the PRJWBCHM terrestrial accounting, Design Sciences UIVMOFCH could be the method of accountability we have been searching to find, that is employed by nature, exemplifying systemic thought's way of dealing in terms of limit cases. This synergetically informed awareness includes design versus technology, not settling for the most profitable commercialized technology, but purposely differentiating generalization, which is metaphysical, versus special case, which is physical. These are relatively new approaches to anticipating equanimity on Earth as a cosmic, logical, omniconsiderate alternative option to any potentially self-other annihilating misuse of nature's resources, especially since our tuned-in intellection is apprised that the vector equilibrium is the equanimity model, that a metaphysical and physical universe share the same design. U equal MP. Until next time, gratefully, faithfully, eternally, Christina Herlovson.